Hi, I'm Bill Mould. This is the first of two trailers intended to give you a sense of how comprehensive my new video is, Derailleurs in Depth, in its nearly 2 hours of content. Here's your table of contents, starting with derailleur components and linkage, 4 chapters dealing with the rear derailleur, 6 chapters dealing with the front derailleur, chain line, derailleur binder or pinch bolts, and then a bunch of chapters dealing with tips and troubleshooting, and 2 appendices. If I turn the high limit screw inward, you'll see that the guide pulley moves over, and I can keep doing this until the guide pulley deposits itself right under there. It is right about there. So now the guide pulley is going to put the chain right where I want it, right on that small gear. Here is a close-up of the B screw. This is it here, and you notice that the B screw is turned in quite a ways. There's a lot of thread down here, and we're going to see what happens when we take this B screw and we turn it out. So now what I'm going to do is, as I pedal the bike, I'm going to increase the tension on the cable by turning the barrel adjuster out, and I'm going to keep doing that until the bike shifts. There it is. Now the bike is shifted into the second cog by virtue of increasing the cable tension. And of course you can't see that by just standing up at the front of the bike where the shifter is. You have to get behind it and make very tiny adjustments of the barrel adjuster as necessary. If you look right down on it or from the back where the camera is, you'll see that the chain is right exactly between the first gear and the third one, which is what I want. If you look from the back, you can see this very accurately. As opposed to using my shifter to shift up into the big cog, I'm going to pull on the cable, and I want to see how far the chain goes. And look at this. The chain is overshifting. The chain is going past the large cog, which means I have a problem with my low limit screw. So I'm going to go back and tighten my low limit screw. Then I can rotate the whole derailleur. And when I do, if I look closely, I can see that I have a more parallel condition than I had a minute ago. As a reminder, we test limit screws by pulling on cable. So I have my hand on the front derailleur cable, and I'm going to pedal the bike and pull on the cable, see if the derailleur moves out far enough to make the shift, but possibly too far. We'll find out. Okay, there's our first problem. Obviously, the derailleur moved out far enough to put the chain on the big chain ring, but overshifted and shot it off the big chain ring. So my high limit screw is set incorrectly and is allowing the derailleur cage to move too far outward. But my bike is a little noisy because if you look carefully, you can see that the chain here is actually rubbing on the inner plate. I can hear it. So I'm going to loosen this low limit screw just a little bit, just a tiny bit, to move it inward just so that I don't hear that rubbing. There we go. So I have a little bit of space, but not much, between the inner plate and the chain, just enough so that it doesn't rub. Okay, with a little more tension on the cable, let's try the same shift again. And we have just a hair more rubbing, so I'm going to release it again, add just a little bit more tension, and try it again. There we go. Now our chain is quiet in the big chain ring. So using the shifter this time instead of the cable, back into the small chain ring, right into the big one. When I'm shifting from the small chain ring into the bigger one, the initial contact is with the inner plate pushing the chain, and you'll see that the contact point with the inner plate will move forward, and the chain will then be pushed by the tip of the inner plate up onto the big chain ring.